Michael Bever is charged with 5 counts of murder for the crime that happened inside their home in 2015.
Prepare yourselves for an exploration into the chilling world of crime, where age is no obstacle. The following list demonstrates that evil can manifest in the least anticipated locations and forms, presenting the 10 youngest serial killers in history. Number 1. Eric Smith. Eric Smith, born on January 22, 1980, gained notoriety for committing a horrifying crime when he was young. At just 13 years old, Smith brutally took the life of a 4-year-old boy named Derek Roby in Steuben County, New York in 1993. This tragic incident shocked the community and raised profound questions about the capacity for violence during adolescence and the complexities of juvenile criminal justice. On that fateful day, Smith encountered Derek Roby walking alone to a summer camp. Taking advantage of the situation, Smith enticed the young boy into a secluded wooded area. There, he subjected Derek to a vicious and prolonged attack. The extreme nature and brutality of the crime deeply affected the local community and provoked outrage and disbelief. Following the discovery of Derek's deceased body, an extensive manhunt was initiated. Eric Smith, recognizable by his distinctive red hair and glasses, became the primary suspect. He was apprehended shortly after and swiftly confessed to the crime. Smith's confession, supported by significant forensic evidence, left no doubt about his guilt. At the time of the offense, Smith was merely 13 years old. His young age provoked intense examination of the juvenile justice system. People wanted to determine if a child of Smith's age could fully grasp the seriousness of his actions. There was debate about whether it was appropriate to hold him to the same standards as adult offenders. After a lengthy trial, Smith became the central figure in the legal proceedings. He was found guilty and charged with second-degree murder. His defense attorney argued that he should be treated as a juvenile. However, due to the severity of his crime, the court ruled to try him as an adult. Smith received a sentence of 9 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. After serving 28 years in prison, Smith was eventually released. Revealing interviews with Smith's grandfather shed light on significant details of the case. His grandfather echoed Eric's own words, expressing a desire to harm the blonde child. This revelation surprised Smith's grandfather's father, as well as the rest of the world. Smith's case has since sparked discussions about the effectiveness of rehabilitation and the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders. Some argue that adolescents, with their developing brains and potential for change, should be given an opportunity for rehabilitation and eventual reintegration into society. Number 2. T.J. Lane. T.J. Lane, whose full name is Thomas T.J. Michael Lane III, gained notoriety for committing a deadly school shooting that shocked the United States. Lane was born on September 19, 1994, and grew up to become one of the most despised teenage criminals globally. Lane's violent attack had a profound impact on the families of the victims and drew attention to the issue of school safety. On February 27, 2012, at the age of 17, Lane carried out a shooting at Chardon High School in Chardon, Ohio. Utilizing a .22 caliber handgun, he targeted students eating breakfast in the cafeteria. 3 students, identified as Daniel Palmertor, Demetrius Hewlin, and Russell King Jr., were fatally shot, while 3 others were injured. The motive behind Lane's attack remains speculative and subject to debate. Some reports suggest personal grievances or resentment served as motivation, while others cite potential mental health issues. The complexity of the case was heightened by Lane's troubled background, which included a history of behavioral problems and a difficult family life. After the shooting, a teacher apprehended Lane and held him until authorities arrived. Subsequently, Lane was arrested on multiple charges. Throughout his trial, Lane displayed little remorse for his actions, even smirking and making inappropriate gestures in the courtroom. In a chilling act, he wore a T-shirt with an obscene word and addressed the victims' families disrespectfully. In March 2013, Lane was found guilty on all charges and received a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge described his actions as extremely malevolent, underscoring the necessity of protecting society from individuals capable of such violence. The shooting at Chardon High School sent shockwaves across the country, sparking discussions on gun control, school safety, and the mental well-being of young people. This tragic incident prompted communities to contemplate the importance of identifying and addressing signs of distress and violent tendencies in troubled teenagers. The impact of Lane's actions on the victims' families and the Chardon community cannot be overemphasized. The tragedy irreversibly altered their lives, leaving them with perpetual grief and trauma. Nevertheless, the community rallied together, exhibiting resilience and a determination to heal. Number 3. Alyssa Bustamante. Alyssa Bustamante, born in 1994 in Missouri, gained notoriety for committing a horrifying crime as a young individual that left the nation in shock. When she was only 15 on October 21, 2009, Bustamante savagely attacked her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, in their St. Martin's neighborhood. She enticed Elizabeth into the woods, choked her, and proceeded to assault her with a knife. After ending her life, Bustamante buried Elizabeth in a shallow grave and attempted to hide the evidence of her crime. During her trial, the true motive behind Bustamante's actions was revealed. Testimonies disclosed a troubled upbringing marked by neglect and abuse. She grappled with mental health issues, including depression and a history of self-harm. Disturbingly, her writings and drawings indicated a morbid fascination with death and violence. This heinous crime and Bustamante's young age sparked a nationwide debate regarding appropriate punishment for underage offenders. Some argued for leniency, considering her age and the potential for rehabilitation. Conversely, most people believed that the gravity of the crime warranted a harsher penalty. In 2012, Bustamante pleaded guilty to second-degree and armed criminal action, resulting in a life sentence with the possibility of conditional release in 2024. Her case shed light on the need for early intervention and mental health support for troubled young individuals nationwide. It also emphasized the necessity of accessible resources and a comprehensive approach to addressing underlying issues that can lead to extreme acts of violence. Interestingly, Bustamante documented the shocking event in a journal entry on that fateful evening. Since her conviction, Bustamante has remained a subject of public interest and scrutiny. Some argue that her young age at the time of the crime and potential for rehabilitation warrant a reduction in her sentence. Others maintain that the punishment aligns with the severity of her actions. Number 4. Craig Price. Craig Price, also known as the Warwick Slasher, is a convicted serial criminal who gained notoriety for his chilling crimes in Warwick, Rhode Island during the late 1980s. His case continues to fascinate the public and raise questions about the nature of evil and the complexities of the criminal justice system. Born on October 11, 1973, Price showed violent tendencies from an early age through animal cruelty and aggression. However, it was at the age of 13 in 1987 when he began a series of brutal assaults that shocked the community. His first victim was Rebecca Spencer, a 27-year-old woman who he attacked while she was jogging near her home. Price broke into her house, assaulted her, and left her dead. Less than a year later, he targeted Joan Heaton and her 2 daughters, Jennifer and Melissa, breaking into their home and brutally assaulting all 3 victims. The Warwick community lived in fear as the unidentified criminal remained at large. Eventually, suspicion fell on Craig Price, given his history of violence and previous interactions with the police. He was arrested in 1989 after a witness provided incriminating information, and he later confessed to the crimes. What shocks people about Price's crimes is not only their brutality, but also the fact that he committed them at such a young age. At just 15 years old, he became one of the youngest serial criminals in American history, sparking debates about juvenile violence and the appropriate response from the criminal justice system. Initially sentenced as a juvenile, Price was sent to a youth detention facility until he turned 21. However, his violent tendencies persisted, and he assaulted fellow inmates, even killing one. This led to a reassessment of his case, and in 1992 he was convicted and given a lengthy prison sentence. Throughout his time in prison, Price has remained a highly controversial figure. Showing little remorse for his crimes, he has been involved in further violent incidents behind bars. These actions have cast doubt on the potential for rehabilitation and the possibility of his release. Luckily, Craig Price is currently serving his punishment in a Rhode Island prison. Number 5. Bever Brothers. Robert Bever and Michael Bever were the individuals responsible for a shocking and tragic crime that deeply affected the community of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 2015. The brothers planned and executed a brutal attack on their own family members, resulting in the deaths of their parents and siblings. On July 22, 2015, armed with knives and a hatchet, the Bever brothers launched a vicious assault on their parents, David and April Bever, as well as their younger siblings inside their family home. The attack was savage and merciless, claiming the lives of their parents and 2 siblings, while their other siblings survived but sustained severe injuries. The motive behind this terrible act remains under investigation, but reports indicate the brothers had a shared fascination with violence. During questioning, Michael Bever revealed chilling details about the tragic events that unfolded. According to reports, Michael explained that they had a premeditated goal, similar to other criminals. The sequence of the attack involved Michael luring his sister into a room to distract her, while his brother attacked her. Then their mother became the target, followed by their father. At this point, their brother Daniel sought safety in his bedroom, but Michael deceived him by convincing him that Robert was also after him, leading Daniel to open the door. Robert quickly joined in, determined to carry out the gruesome act. The older sister managed to escape and trigger the house alarm, but Michael disabled it and forcefully returned her to the house, subjecting her to further violence. Meanwhile, the 2 younger siblings, aged 5 and 7, locked themselves in a bathroom for protection. Michael manipulated them into unlocking the door by falsely claiming that Robert was attacking everyone. Tragically, Michael then took the life of his 7-year-old brother, while Robert assaulted the 5-year-old. Fortunately, an interruption occurred when someone knocked on the door, prompting the arrival of the police, who responded to Daniel's plea for help, thereby stopping the violent spree. Following their apprehension, Robert and Michael Bever faced multiple charges and were tried as adults due to the severity of their crimes. In 2016, Robert Bever pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder and received multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. On the other hand, Michael Bever chose to go to trial in 2018 and was convicted on all charges, also receiving multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. Number 6. Nathaniel Brazil. Nathaniel Brazil gained notoriety for his involvement in a tragic and highly publicized incident in Lake Worth, Florida in 2000. Born in October 1986, Brazil was only 13 years old when he committed the act that forever changed his life and the lives of those affected. On May 26, 2000, Brazil, a student at Lake Worth Middle School, brought a stolen, unloaded handgun to his English classroom. He had a confrontation with his teacher, Barry Grunow, who had previously reprimanded him. During the confrontation, Brazil pulled out the gun and fatally shot Grunow in the head. The incident shocked the community and received national attention due to the young age of the perpetrator and the senselessness of the crime. It sparked debates about gun control, school safety, and the influence of the media on youth behavior. Brazil was arrested soon after the shooting and charged with first-degree murder. Despite being a minor, he stood trial as an adult due to the seriousness of the offense. During the trial, his defense argued that the crime was not intentional, suggesting the gun accidentally fired during a struggle between Brazil and Grunow. However, the prosecution contended that Brazil had brought the gun to school with the intent to harm someone. In 2001, Brazil was convicted of second-degree murder and aggravated assault with a firearm. He received a 28-year prison sentence, with parole eligibility after serving at least 25 years. While in prison, Brazil's case remained in the public eye, with some supporting his release and others advocating for upholding his sentence. Throughout the years, there were legal challenges and appeals, but Brazil's conviction and sentence were upheld. He is currently incarcerated at the Jackson Correctional Institution and is set to be released on May 18, 2028. During his imprisonment, Brazil completed his General Educational Development Program and became a certified paralegal. Number 7. Brenda Spencer, Brenda Ann. Spencer is forever associated with a tragic incident that had a profound impact on the nation and brought attention to the complexities of mental health and firearms accessibility. Born on April 3, 1962, in San Diego, California, Spencer's actions on January 29, 1979, left an enduring imprint on the community and raised significant questions about the motivations behind acts of violence. At the age of 16, Spencer committed a terrible act that forever altered the lives of many. Armed with a .22 caliber rifle, she positioned herself by a window in her home overlooking Grover Cleveland Elementary School. Without any regard for who her victims were, she callously opened fire as students and staff arrived for the day. The consequences were devastating. 2 lives were tragically lost and 9 others were injured. The victims included the principal, Burton Ragg, and custodian Mike Suchar, whose deaths shook the community. The act of violence left many struggling to comprehend how a young teenager could hold such darkness within. After her arrest, Spencer's infamous response to the question of motive deepened the mystery. When asked why she did it, she heartlessly replied, "I don't like Mondays." This shocking statement baffled observers, leaving them searching for answers to make sense of this senseless act. As the legal process unfolded, it became evident that Spencer's troubled upbringing played a significant role in shaping her path. Reports revealed a history of violent tendencies and depression. It was discovered that she had developed a fascination with firearms, even requesting one as a Christmas gift, which her father tragically granted. In 1980, Spencer faced trial for her crimes. She was found guilty of various offenses, including taking lives and multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Due to her status as a minor at the time of the offense, she received a sentence of 25 years to life in prison. Despite numerous appeals over the years, Spencer's sentence has been upheld, and she remains incarcerated. Her case serves as a reminder of the far-reaching consequences of violent acts and highlights the importance of addressing mental health concerns early on. It also reignited discussions about the necessity of stricter gun control measures to prevent firearms from falling into the wrong hands, especially individuals struggling with mental health issues. Number 8. Michael Hernandez. Michael Hernandez, born in February 1988 in Miami, Florida, was initially perceived as an intelligent and well-behaved child, renowned for his impressive academic talents. However, hidden beneath his seemingly normal demeanor lay unresolved problems that would ultimately contribute to a horrifying crime. At 14 years old in 2004, Hernandez committed a shocking act that shook the nation. He enticed his classmate, Jamie Goff, into a bathroom stall at Southwood Middle School in Miami, where he mercilessly attacked and ultimately ended Goff's life with a knife. The community was deeply affected by the gruesome nature of the crime, compounded by the fact that both the victim and perpetrator were so young. The motive behind Hernandez's crime remains a topic of speculation and analysis. Some reports suggest a profound fascination with serial criminals, as he frequently delved into their lives and methods through research. Disturbingly, a journal filled with violent writings and drawings was discovered, potentially indicating a desire for notoriety that played a role in his decision to commit such a heinous act. Following his arrest, Hernandez faced trial in 2008. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including surveillance footage and testimonies from classmates that solidified the premeditated and calculated nature of Hernandez's crime. Despite his young age, Hernandez was tried as an adult, sparking significant debate surrounding the suitable punishment for juvenile offenders. In 2008, Hernandez was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As the weight of the terrible sentence sunk in, tears welled up in his eyes. The severity of his crime and the perceived threat he posed to society factored into the judge's decision. The controversial choice to impose a life sentence on a juvenile offender shed light on the complexities of the juvenile justice system, the potential for rehabilitation, and the delicate balance between punishment and redemption. Despite multiple attempts to appeal and overturn his sentence, arguing for the consideration of his age, Hernandez never obtained freedom. In 2021, at the age of 31, he passed away while still incarcerated. According to the autopsy, Hernandez, at 5'10" and 285 pounds, suffered from morbid obesity and cardiac dysrhythmia. The case of Michael Hernandez tragically showcases the dire consequences of untreated mental health issues and the potential dangers associated with exposure to violent media. Number 9. Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper, also known as the Co-Ed Killer, gained infamy in the 1970s for his horrific crimes, which have made him a well-known and extensively studied serial criminal in history. Born in 1948 in Burbank, California, Kemper displayed disturbing behavior from a young age, particularly toward his mother, whom he deeply resented. His troubled childhood included violent fantasies and the abuse and killing of animals, often regarded as indicators of future violent tendencies. In 1964, at the age of 15, Kemper began his crime spree by murdering both his grandparents, shooting his grandmother and attacking his grandfather with a knife. He claimed that these acts were driven by his curiosity to experience taking a life and having control over life and death. After spending time in a mental institution, Kemper was released in 1969, despite concerns expressed by psychiatrists about his potential for violence. Unfortunately, their fears were validated as Kemper went on to commit a series of brutal crimes in the early 1970s. Primarily targeting young women, he earned the nickname Co-Ed Killer by picking up hitchhiking college students and then strangling and dismembering them in isolated areas. Kemper's violence escalated when he took the lives of his own mother and her friend in 1973. He engaged in disturbing acts with his mother's body, including decapitation, before disposing of it. He then turned himself in to the police, confessing to the horrifying crimes that had terrorized California. In 1973, Kemper was convicted on 8 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Despite his despicable deeds, Kemper has intrigued researchers and psychologists due to his high intellect and ability to articulate his thoughts. Throughout his incarceration, he has cooperated with experts in psychology and criminal profiling, shedding light on his mindset and the motivations behind his crimes. His case has contributed significantly to our understanding of serial criminals. Number 10. James Fairweather. James Fairweather, also known as the Colchester Killer, was born in 1999 and became one of the youngest convicted serial criminals in the UK, shedding light on the horrifying violence that teenagers are capable of. Fairweather's dark story unfolded in Colchester, Essex, between March and June 2014, when he was just 15 years old. During this time, he committed a series of gruesome crimes that resulted in the deaths of 2 innocent people. The first victim, James Atfield, a brain-damaged 33-year-old who often spent time in the town's parks, was brutally attacked and stabbed over 100 times by Fairweather. The next morning, Atfield's lifeless body was discovered, shocking the community. 2 months later, Fairweather struck again, attacking and fatally injuring Nahid Almania, a 31-year-old Saudi Arabian student who was walking to the University of Essex. These brutal crimes left the town of Colchester in a state of fear and panic as residents grappled with the realization that a seemingly unassuming teenager could commit such horrifying acts. The police worked tirelessly to catch the criminal, leaving no stone unturned in their investigation. Fairweather was ultimately captured after his friend reported his disturbing statements to the authorities. During police questioning, Fairweather confessed to his crimes, claiming that he heard voices instructing him to make a sacrifice. He stood trial in 2015 and was convicted on 2 counts, receiving a 27-year sentence. The severity of his actions was acknowledged by the judge, who recognized the significant risk he posed to the public. Fairweather's name will always be associated with a dark period in Colchester's history. His crimes serve as a chilling reminder that evil can arise from unexpected sources, emphasizing the importance of vigilance, empathy, and preventive measures to ensure community safety and well-being.